What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Harry the Horse Barbecue, and today we are making some smoked chuck roast chopped beef sandwiches. That's right, we're gonna slow smoke a beautiful chuck roast till it's got a nice dark bark. Then we'll chop that beef and stack it up high on a homemade bun, pile on some homemade pickled red onions, and top it off with a homemade barbecue sauce. Is this the best way to smoke and utilize chuck roast? We're gonna find out. Let's get it.
Harry the Horse Barbecue.
A beef chuck roast. What even is it? The chuck is located on the forequarter of the cow, coming from the upper shoulder and lower neck of the cow. Now, a chuck roast is cut from the chuck portion of the cow. It can contain a lot of fat, a lot of connective tissue, and is great for beef stews, pot roasts. It's commonly used in burger grinds. This fatty cut of meat is perfect for barbecue because that low and slow cooking is gonna break down that connective tissue, render all that fat. Why make a whole brisket and use the leftovers for chopped beef when I could just use a chuck roast? They're readily available in most supermarkets. It's a relatively cheap cut of meat, and we know it's gonna make some primetime barbecue. So in order to make these smoked chopped beef sandwiches, we're gonna go shopping for a chuck roast. Let's go. Chuck roast. I picked up a 5-pound chuck roast from my guys over at Marbled Meat Shop. Wanted to use some high quality beef for this recipe. Now, most grocery stores have these either in the butcher case or vac sealed and packaged up for easy grab and go. But as y'all know, I love to support my local butchers. So enough horsing around, let's get this chuck roast out of the pack. All right, here we have our chuck roast. Bought this a few days from Marbled Meat Shop, so it's starting to get a little oxidized because it was just in my fridge in the butcher paper wrap, but it's still a great piece of meat. My butcher trussed this up. I don't really want this tied up like this. I want to maximize the surface area for the amount of bark buildup, so I'm gonna snip this off. Interesting looking chuck roast. Not what you typically find at the supermarket. It's got some decent marbling in there. So we're gonna hit this real simply with a real simple rub. All right, here's our rub. 1 part Diamond Crystal Kosher salt, 1 part 16 mesh black pepper, half a part granulated garlic, and half a part granulated onion. Easy like Sunday morning, even though it's a Tuesday. Anywho, on with the rub. Super liberal coating. It's gonna be so easy, but so delicious. Now, if you've got extra brisket lying around, great, go for some chopped beef sandwiches. If you just wanna swing by the grocery store and grab a nice chuck roast from there, go for it. The beauty and versatility about chopped beef sandwiches is you can literally use almost any cut of beef for this. I said to myself, why not go to my butcher and pick up some high quality beef for this? Everything's being made from scratch for this sandwich, so I don't want to lack in any of the categories. No fancy rubs or seasonings, just simple and delicious from start to finish. Chuck roast is looking good. This chuck roast is all seasoned up and it's ready for the cooker. So let's go fire up the cooker. These coals get hot. Sweet. All right, y'all, 2 chimneys of charcoal later. I've got a bit of a fire going and temps are getting up to about 250 degrees. So while this cooker's hot, let's go grab that chuck roast and get it on the cooker. Let's go. Smoked chuck roast coming up for y'all. Let's get it on the cooker. Up and under. Okay, we're gonna go sort of the middle of the back of the cooker. I'd say about like that. All right, y'all, the chuck roast is on, and this is gonna be one of those cooks with not a lot going on. Not a lot of spritzing, not a lot of checking, just a lot of maintaining temps to get this chuck roast nice and smoky and tender. That chuck roast is sitting pretty right in the center of the lower rack. I've got the damper to the smokestack wide open. I've got a water pan on the designated water pan shelf, and I got this fire rocking around 250 degrees. I'll bring you back to check on this chuck roast once it's barky and smoky. But until then, let's close it down. Boom, shaka, laka, yeah. While our chuck roast is smoking away, let's make some quick and easy homemade pickled red onions. Now that I realized my mic wasn't on, these pickled red onions are all brined up, stored away in these jars. We'll cool them down. Let's go check on that chuck roast. This chuck roast was cut from the shoulder of a cow that says moo, moo, moo. Moo? Moo rhymes with blue. What's that? You see a blue? Where? There's our blue. Nothing will wash these sandwiches down better than a crisp cold Canadian Pilsner. All right, y'all, it's been about 4.5 hours on this chuck roast. I haven't done much other than spritz it once and just try to maintain a 250-degree fire or so. So let's see what this chuck roast is looking like. Here's our chuck roast, and honestly, it doesn't look too impressive. It just looks like a smoked piece of meat. Let's see, we're building a pretty nice bark all the way around. All right, we're gonna give this a little spritz with some ACV. It really doesn't look like it's burning or anything. It's looking pretty good. All right, this chuck roast is chugging along. We're gonna let it rock at about 250 degrees. Then I'll wrap it and give it an overnight rest. And then tomorrow, we'll chop it up for some sandwiches. But until then, let's close it down. Boom. Foil boat this roast back onto the cooker. It's the next day. Our chuck roast is resting, so let's make some buns, hon. Hiya, mommy. I will figure out this bowl one day. These buns start with warm milk, sugar, and active dry yeast. Mix it around to let the yeast bloom. This is smelling yeasty. Down with 2 eggs and an egg yolk. Mix it on in. Next, flour, some dough conditioner and milk powder going in, and our kosher salt. We're gonna mix it until we get a shaggy dough. We've got a loose dough, so now in with our softened butter. Let it come together. And after a few minutes of kneading, we've got a nice, soft, supple dough. That looks like a pretty sweet ball of dough. We'll check back on this dough in about an hour and a half. While our dough is rising, let's make some homemade barbecue sauce. These onions have some good color. We're going in with that garlic now. Get this all mixed around. Get a little color on that garlic. I'm going with the rest of our ingredients. Next, some brown sugar, apple cider vinegar. From here, we're gonna add a couple cups of ketchup, some Dijon, wash your sister sauce, a couple teaspoons of some homemade SPG with a little granulated garlic, a little bit of white sugar, some mustard powder, a little paprika, and some honey. Also gonna go in with the juice of a lemon and back onto the heat till it's incorporated. But super tangy, a little bit sweet, a little bit savory. I love this barbecue sauce recipe. We'll let these cool, and let's get those buns in the oven. Once our dough doubled in size, I just plopped it onto the table, degassed it, cut the dough into 90-gram pieces, and just rolled those pieces into 90-gram balls. Now on this parchment lined tray, we're going to cover these with a damp towel, and we'll let these rise for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And these buns are done. I painted these buns with an egg wash, threw them in a 350-degree oven. They were looking golden brown, hit them with some melted butter. It's about time we assemble our chopped beef sandwich. Our chuck roast has been resting for almost 24 hours, which is insane. But I think it's time that we chop this up. I took this chuck roast to about 210 degrees because I knew I wanted it to shred up. Let's dive in for a little snack. It's super tender, that's for sure. Very beefy. Okay. A little overdone and a little squishy, which is pretty much how I wanted it. I know you might be saying to yourself, Mr. Horse, it looks dried out, overcooked. The premise of chopped beef is to use some cuts that didn't turn out quite right, cuts that weren't selling, or cuts nobody wanted, and turning it into a profitable item. But this, you can serve this on its own. Wow, this is incredibly good on its own. That is a steamy pile of beef. Now I still want this to have some texture, so this is looking pretty good for me. Let's assemble our sandwich. Beautiful toasted bun. Now a nice handful of our chopped beef. Oh yeah, pile it on high, baby. Some of those reserve juices. Oh yeah. Top this with a few pickled red onions. A little BBQ sauce, homemade. Then we go ahead and crown it. Oh man, it's gonna be one hell of a chopped beef sandwich. All right, y'all, enough horsing around. We need to get after this behemoth of a chopped beef sandwich. I don't even know where to begin, but man, that is a beautiful sandwich. Scratch-made toasted bun, an 8-hour smoked chuck roast, homemade pickled red onions, and barbecue sauce. It can't get better than this. Let's try this out. Oh my God. Every element just complements the next. Get it away. Oh, yo, from the jump, you get the scent of that homemade bun. It smells yeasty and buttery, and it's so squishy and soft. When you bite in, you get that soft bun, and immediately you get a crunch from that pickled red onion. You need that crisp, that crunch, that acid in there to break it up. Then you get sort of this rounded tanginess from the barbecue sauce. And then before you know it, you're sinking your teeth into some smoky, tender chuck roast that honestly tastes like brisket. Tell me you don't just want to sink your teeth into this. And it's a little sloppy. Someone's got to stop me from licking the board. This scratch-made chopped beef sandwich is so good, I just can't stop. Hello. And if you want to get a little frisky, put some extra sauce down and get a little dip. Yo, that chuck is good as hold your horses. This chopped beef sandwich is ridiculous. Man, this chopped beef is about to put me to sleep. So while I do that, I'm gonna go dream of some beefy lyrics. Whoa, I'm just full of beef in this dream. Cool? We made chopped beef today on display, ain't no other way. How can I convey what I wanna say anyway? All this beef like a buffet, stack it on a tray. Yeah, the feast is underway, it's about to slay. If you want this recipe, I'll say okay. Delicious barbecue's what I portray. Hit that like button, yeah, with no delay. Hit that sub button and keep hitting play. Thank y'all for tuning into Harry the Horse Barbecue. I really appreciate you checking out this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, so hit that subscribe button below. You know we got that crispy bark on the outside of this chuck roast and these buns, so go ahead and leave a like on this video. Leave a comment down below if you've tried making chopped beef sandwiches, and tell me what cut of meat you use for chopped beef. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we're posting new content, and you can follow me on Instagram at Harry the Horse Barbecue. Tag me so I can see what y'all are cooking, because it really inspires me to get outside and cook. And with that being said, there's only one more thing, y'all. Boop. This one is going straight to the horse's mouth. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. There's a one biter.